Now, back to Sound Advice on Business Radio 1300 KKOL.
Hi, I'm Susan Michaels.
And I'm Rick O'Brien, and this is Sound Advice.
Today we're talking with Alan Pratt from Pratt Legacy Advisors. Welcome, Alan.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here.
Now, first of all, tell us what you do as a legacy advisor.
We work with families, generally two generations of the same family, on giving them ideas on how they can steward during their lifetime their wealth, their financial wealth, and their non-financial wealth. We get into both. Over a period of years in a way that respects and upholds their underlying values. So we have a process that we take the family through that allows them to make decisions with regard to their how to structure their wealth, but also how to give of their time and their efforts, because a big part of our process is around charitable giving.
Okay.
So that's the basic overview.
Okay. You said financial wealth and non-financial wealth. Can you redefine or define non-financial wealth a little bit for us?
You betcha. We kind of categorize wealth into 5 categories, the last one being financial wealth, but the other ones being good relationships, spiritual development, intellectual growth, and physical health. So how's all those 5 things combined in a way that allows one to live and to leave a rich life.
You mentioned charitable giving. And we were talking previously, and you said something about a lot of people want to plan that into their legacy. Give us a little bit of information as far as how that works.
Well, first of all, a little background. The United States is clearly by far the most generous country in the world. In 2012, we don't have the 2013 numbers out yet, but in 2012, U.S. citizens privately gave $300 billion to charitable causes. And that's a wonderful thing in that charitable giving, in my opinion, and I think many, many others, starts in the heart. It doesn't start in the tax code. Even though I understand the tax code very well, it starts in the heart. And most people are drawn to care for others, financially and non-financially. Just look what happened on 9/11. We had people running into those buildings to take care of people.
Yeah, sure.
So as we're wired to care for others, and then we've been blessed with some abundance on the financial side, we live in a country that gives us many options on how we can structure our giving while we're alive and after we pass away in such a fashion that it can stay around and do magnificent things for a very long period of time. And a big part of our process is around the tools of giving. These are containers that people can put together that are legal tools called charitable trusts and charitable gift annuities and other tools of giving back in a way that will not only be tax-efficient ways, but involve time and effort and themselves in engaging in the process.
Okay. Well, the name of your company at Legacy Advisors really suggests that you're doing more than just taking care of your own financial situation, but you're actually making an impact on the world around you, and you're really doing more than just passing away. You're leaving something.
Mm-hmm. Very much so. I mean, this is a true statement. Everybody is going to leave a legacy. It is not an option. Did Adolf Hitler leave a legacy? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Did Ronald Reagan leave? Did my father, who passed away 7 years ago, leave a legacy? Yes. So since I believe 100% that statement is true, what are we going to do with our time and our financial resources and our non-financial wealth to live out a legacy today while we're here, such that when we're no longer here, it continues on?
A positive, a good legacy.
betcha.
We don't want that Adolf Hitler legacy.
Absolutely. But the legacies are both kinds. We want to work with people that want to make positive impacts, and that's a wonderful conversation to be involved with.
Yeah. So when is the best time for someone to start thinking about their legacy?
Well, actually, it's never too early and it's never too late.
Yeah.
I would say in my work, I'm generally talking with people that are probably starting to think it more seriously once the kids are a little bit more grown and possibly off to college.
Okay.
But it's still wonderful to be thinking about it early. I mean, 20 years ago, that little company called Microsoft was throwing off a lot of people with some financial wherewithal that were in their 30s and maybe early 40s, and they wanted to do something about it in response to that what I would call quick wealth. But it's never too soon and it's never too late. I had a lady come to me a while back who was 89 years old, and she came to one of our workshops and she says, "Mr. Pratt, this is wonderful, but it's too late for me." And I said, "Says who?" And we engaged her in our process. She lived 10 more years. She lived 1 month shy of being 100 years old. And in the last 10 years of her life, from 89 to 99, it was richly abundant. She gave away a lot. Her family, I knew her grandson, I knew her great-grandson, and she definitely left a legacy that she wanted to.
Wow.
So it's never too late.
Yeah, especially somebody thinking, well, this is it.
Yes.
To be able to realize, no, that's not it.
It's never. I mean, we don't know how long we're going to have. And so if we're in feeling good, even though we might be 85 or 90 years old, we have taken on clients for the first time in planning in their 80s. And some even around 90 years old, like this young lady of 89 and 11, 12.
Wow. Wow. That's amazing. So when you're talking with people, when they come to you and they start the dialogue, I want to plan my legacy, whatever age they happen to be at, what do they need to be considering? I got financial. You mentioned there were 5 different things. As far as planning for themselves for possible health decline, that type of thing, what do you suggest in that area?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, there's 5 areas of wealth that are considered to be part of one's legacy, and one is health. And so, as people age, yes, health does change on us. And we want the first part of the process is make decisions that will take care of themselves. So when we think about living a legacy and leaving a legacy, we start with who do you care about? What people do you care about? And what causes do you care about? And before we get to going deep on the things that we're going to take to reflect action steps that direct wealth financially and non-financially to the people we care about and the causes that we care about, we first talk about let's take care of yourself. And let's just say age 70, good health, there's a very good chance you're going to be around here for 20 or 25 more years easily. So what are we going to do in stewarding a balance sheet of wealth over a 20 or 25-year time frame such that we've got all 5 of those areas covered, including the health side? And that could take us into a long-term care discussion or other things related to medical care. But it's all a part of those 3 things. Who do you care about? What do you care about? And before we get to them, let's take care of you.
Okay. Yeah, because if you're not taken care of, then you can't take care of everything else.
That's right.
That's very good. Also, as far as business owners, if someone... I guess it all is going to be the same, whether you're an individual or you own a business. Are there any considerations that a business owner might need to consider that just an individual wouldn't necessarily?
Well, it's going to come down to the composition of one's balance sheet. And I'll just use this as an example because we work with business owners. As a business owner, it's often the case that a fairly high percentage of their net worth might be centered in their own business, the value of their own business. They own a widget manufacturing company, and they've been manufacturing widgets for 30 or 35 years. And as they do the personal balance sheet, the value of that company tends to be one of the highest percentage items on the balance sheet. So as we recognize those things and how they're structured in various types of entities, we want to be mindful of their desire to move that wealth downstream because there's emotions that go with that involve releasing control and possibly releasing down to family members into control or out to others in control. But when it represents a sizable portion of the balance sheet, that's basically their retirement account. And how do we convert that S-Corp stock in a widget manufacturing company to your retirement plan? And that's in a simplistic way.
Right.
But the answer is, by all means, for business owners, when that has been the driving cause to what's built their wealth over a 20 or 25 or 35 period of years, that takes delicate counsel on how to move it forward when we get into those latter years when we're enjoying the fruits of our labor.
Well, sometimes the business itself ends up being somewhat of a legacy.
Oh, very much so.
Yeah, and other times it's not at all. It's not part of who that person is. It was just what they did.
Yes.
But leaving that and making sure that business continues and the name continues, and sometimes is very, very important.
And it's wonderful. I mean, I do have one client their business is over 100 years old. They're in the fourth generation right now.
Oh, wow.
And the fourth generation is in their late 50s and early 60s, and they celebrated their 100-year anniversary in 2005, a few years back. And it's a big part of who they are. Mm-hmm. And you'd recognize the name. They're here in the state of Washington. Yeah. And that's a wonderful thing to be able to do that, because they're planning now passing down to G5, and G5 are in their 20s and 30s. And it will likely continue because it's a part of their legacy. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, if you have someone who comes to you and they know they have a need for this planning, they have a heart to give, they have the funds, they have health at this point. Where do you start working with them? How do you start the process of helping them?
Well, believe it or not, we have a questionnaire. And our process, which we call Legacy Planning from the Heart, is questions-driven. And so we have an 80-question questionnaire that goes into those 5 elements of life that I described earlier, the 5 elements of wealth: good relationships, physical health, spiritual development, intellectual growth, i.e. mental health, and last, financial wealth. And it goes into all 5 of those areas of wealth: past, present, and desired future. And there's 80 questions, pretty much all essay questions, that each member of the family will spend some time on in all those 5 areas of wealth. And with the response that we get from the family members, it allows us to compile what the family already represents, where they've come from, where they are, and where they want to go, expressed individually by the family members, so that everybody is heard and everybody is respected and everybody is a part of the process. It's wonderful.
Wow.
I would imagine a lot of times you find out something that you didn't even know going through the process.
Sometimes we do, but I would say more times than not, we reaffirm things that were already there, but are very often not talked about.
They're not spoken.
They're not spoken.
Yeah.
And so when we get a chance to actually have an exercise where you write down answers, and then people verbally share their answers in front of their other family members, we have Kleenex on the table, because tears are shed, and they're generally tears of joy, because they're not things we normally talk about.
Right.
And so it's neat when they are talked about.
If somebody out there is saying, you know what, I really want to leave a legacy, that's positive and that's good and that means something, how can they get a hold of you?
Well, our offices are in Bellevue, and we have a website. Our website is www.prattla.com, and our website is fairly complete, and there's the phone numbers on there, too.
Okay.
It's all on the website.
Very good. All right, Alan, thank you so much for being with us today on Sound Advice.
Thank you.
Sound Advice returns in a moment on Business Radio 1300 KKOL.